What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access, and for our Best Albums episode today, we're joined by Demrick.
What up with it?
Appreciate you coming through, sir.
Yeah,
and one of your best albums, man, Dr. 2001.
Yeah, man, classic.
Yes, despite the title, released in 1999, actually. So everybody's got to look that up. But Demrick, coming off the Chronic, going into this album, what was kind of the mindset and the feeling about Dr. Dre getting ready to put out his second album?
I just felt like, we were anticipating it because of, Eminem and all that hype that was going on and just making so much good music at the time. His production was crazy, and I liked it how it always had that marijuana theme to it,
I know you like
really
that.
Lean on that.
I know you like that.
But just really the production, the rhymes, and just like the guests and the people were on there, like we were talking about earlier about 6'2" and all that stuff. Some of my favorite Kurupt verses and some of my favorite verses, even 6'2", like.
Well, let's get into some 6'2", man, because that dude, for one, I think he's one of the greatest rappers that never became a superstar.
Yeah.
And Explosive is a phenomenal song, and I remember I did an article on 6'2" and XXL, and I got DOC on the phone, and I was like, DOC, what makes 6'2" so special? He was like, yo, man, he's like, whatever the it shit is, he's got it.
Yeah.
And when DOC said that, I was like, yo, I'm using that in my article. And then I remember when I sent it in, the editor was like, yo, that's an amazing quote from DOC.
It's the truth, too, because he definitely stuck out to me on that project, and just the flow of it. Like, I learned at the time, like, I think I wasn't even making music really like that. I just kind of like listening to shit and rapping with my homies, and like I was just seeing how an album got put together and how somebody could be, it's a Dre album, but he would just place himself in there, at the perfect spots, and he got a cast of people around him to make it just a perfect piece of art, in my opinion. For me, it's something that I could still play to today, even when I'm mixing my albums. It's like we still will A and B the quality level to something that was made even then, and try to see if we can even come close to it with what they were doing sonically. And I don't know, the music, just the production. Next episode, the Watcher.
Sonically, the album is very diverse because everybody looks at Dr. Dre, as they should, as a phenomenal producer and a gangster rap pioneer, all this other stuff. But sonically, you go from Explosive to The Watcher to still D.R.E. The sounds are totally different, and the vibe of those songs is totally different. So when you're listening to it as a fan, as a listener, what do you get sonically from the album that makes it stand out to you?
I don't know. I felt like the records just had a flow. Like they just picked the flow of the album that made you continue to want to listen. Like those records, they just don't get old. Like them, how you can like put certain music to a point in your life. Like so for me, it's almost like nostalgic when I listen to that album. But the quality of the engineering and the production that he picked on there and who he chose to put on the records, I just felt like that's perfect music, I guess. That's why that album just, I don't know, it's very smooth and soothing to the ears. Like, you try to look for a musical experience that you can, has peaks, highs, lows. When you make an album, you want all those pieces on there, and even his skits and everything that he did, I mean, I just would put that as a perfect album.
Right, and then you have Eminem, had two very high-profile appearances with What's the Difference? I Forgot About Dre.
Whoa.
And I thought that, the interesting thing to me about that is that even though it's kind of incongruous somewhat, his appearances, it did weirdly fit into the flow of the album, because Eminem on that album, I don't think fits the whole core of the album and what it represents, like the gangster side and the LA side and all those things. But I think on those two songs in particular, it was like a phenomenal
and he seemed
execution.
like he seemed kind of like, my perception he seemed like the wild card. He seemed like, it's like somebody whose skill was just, you couldn't not pay attention to it. Like it was gonna catch you, and the things that he was saying, like he may not be a part of the gang element side of it or the gangster rap side of it, but you definitely caught the vibe that he didn't really give a fuck. So you can see like, oh, he'll be the guy in the crew that will get to roll out just because he don't care.
Right.
You know, he I don't know. I think at that time, especially that music and what Eminem was doing and what Dre was doing and the way that he got like Snoop and X and just even Kurupt, like that, like, and even like so much shit on there that's so good.
Yeah, and even he had just through Bitch Please, of course, he had just started working with Snoop again.
Crazy.
And then to have Snoop on the album, I thought was like kind of like an icing on the cake type of thing, to where, you know, Snoop and Dre just worked so well together, and then to have him on this huge platform again, I thought was amazing.
Now, did Jay-Z, did he write the whole?
Still D.R.E?
Yeah.
The lyrics? To my knowledge, he co-wrote it for sure.
I seen his name in the credits.
Right.
I know you know a lot.
Yeah, well, you know.
I don't know what Soren's ready to divulge on camera today.
No, but he definitely wrote a lot of the lyrics on there for sure.
Because that record lyrically.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I remember, I joked with Xzibit about this, but I remember, because we were joking one time, because I used to stay off Western, a little further north than some of the crazy spots on Western. But I'll never forget, man, I was off of Hollywood and Western, man, when I first heard Still D.R.E. And then I was like, I literally got like goosebumps, like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And Xzibit's like, yeah, well, I was in the studio while they were making it. I was like, well, X, come on, man. What do you want me to do?
He was a part of those. You were a part of the album, bro.
But we understand, X. Sorry.
We get it. It's love.
But that song, like, I just remember it was like a real exciting introduction. And then even with the video, they took it back with the lowriders and everything. And it was.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted to move from Philly to Cali.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the reasons, because that music was, I mean, it's all I was listening to.
Right.
And when you were out there living in Philly, you would think that, you know, we were listening to Jay-Z. We were listening to everything that was going on. But I also just was a big Eminem fan. I was a big Dr. Dre fan, because those were the instrumentals. Like, I remember, like, he released an instrumental version of that record.
Right.
And I remember going and getting that and writing some of my, you know, beginning raps over that. Or I used to like to get drunk with the homies and freestyle over those beats.
Now, that being said, everybody always talks about Dre and his prowess as a producer, as they should, but I also think Dre's very underrated as a rapper. Yeah. And obviously with World Class Wrecking Crew up to NWA, and then with his solo career and everything. And I think with The Watcher especially, and even Still D.R.E., a lot of the songs on 2001, you see like Dre just has like a real presence on the mic, man. And I think that's really undervalued, and people don't really talk about it. But I remember hearing Dre rap, and I would get excited, man, because he's like a great voice, and he has great delivery and presence, and I don't think a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah, and plus he also knows how to fit into the tracks, he knows how to pick the perfect cadences for records, and that's why he always sounded so smooth and really sounded like he fit on every song that he's ever been on, in my opinion.
Right.
So one of the best, if not the best to ever do it, in my opinion.
Well, there it is, and that's why it's the best album.
Yeah.
Demrick, thanks for coming through here on Unique Access for Best Albums. Soren Baker, Dr. Dre 2001, Demrick.